Hello friends, welcome back. In this tutorial, we are going to learn about how to create user login and registration system in our own Android application. So now what we are going to do in this tutorial will be allowing user to register through our application on our remote database and also then allow that user to log in, and we will be building a simple dashboard screen. So these three screens simple we will be building in this tutorial, but it will be a whole fully login and registration system. So this tutorial will also include the remote database and the APIs. So we will be using a MySQL database as a remote database, and we will be using PHP language to write the APIs. I'll also be showing how to set up the server-side environment, right from how to download and install a local server, how to host your PHP files, and how to create MySQL database. And of course, later I will be coding the Android application. So for now, let's get started. Now let's first understand the server side. So here I am in the Google. I have just typed this WAMP server. This is a local server. This is software which creates a local server, and we need this to host our PHP files. So just type WAMP server here, and you will get these search results. You can just click on the first link, and you will be redirected to this website. You can just click on download, and your download will be started. Just download and install it like just a normal software. And let me show you that you will be seeing it like this WAMP server icon. So you just need to double click on this one, and it will show such a progress bar, and it will be started. It will show all services are running. Yeah, now it is showing ready, all services running. So that means we are now hosting the local server. So here in the icon tray also you will be able to see this WAMP server icon. So in the Google Chrome browser, if you want we want to set up a database first. So for the database, what we can do, in your browser you just need to type localhost / php myadmin. This will open a MySQL database. So the by default username and password is a root, and password is empty. You can just log in, and while the installation, the WAMP server might ask you username and password, so you can specify your own password, or you can just keep it as I have keep the root and a blank password as a blank. So you will come across this interface. Now you need to create a new database here. I will provide the database file in the link to you, so you can just download the file and import from here. uh, Here you just need to create a new, and you need to give a database name whatever you like, but the database name should be matched from here and the API files. So that we'll be going to discuss. So you need to enter database name here and just click on create. I have already created this database. So this is my database I have created, and here one table is inside. Under database you can create multiple tables. So here I have created one table, users. So if I click on this one, I have created these 4 columns, 1 2 3 4 5 columns, and those will be needed for our APIs to work. This first one is ID. This is an email, user email. When the user will register, its record will be inserted here. Email, password is encrypted, and name, whatever the name is, and the token. Basically we will be also using a token for a session management. So this is a token. Once the user logins, this token is automatically generated. Unless the user is not logging in, the token will be null till that time. So this is all about how you can set up the database. So if there is also alternative way, you can also after creating a database, you can just go here, import, and you can just here choose a file, and you can choose a .sql file, which you will be get in the description link. So that SQL file you can just import from here, and you can just click on import. So all the database structure will be come to here along with the whatever the data the database has. So that is one of the efficient way. Alternatively, if you don't if it is not working, then you can just open that file with some text editor, and here you will find a list of SQL statements. So you just need to go to SQL tab and just paste all the statements here, and just click on this go, and this will do the same thing. So this is how you can set up the database. Now let's move towards APIs. So for the APIs, where we will be hosting the API files, you can just open your drawer, and just single click on this WAMP server icon. Here it is a www directory. You can just click here and this directory will be open. So in this directory, whatever the new folder we will create here, it will be treated as a separate website. So here I have created a one folder, that is login dash register, which we will be using. So I have created this folder. You can also create the same folder. So you can just double click on this one, and here we need to create these few 5 files. So these 5 files, I'll be quickly going through all of them, because the aim of this tutorial is not understanding the PHP. It is about how to create the user login registration system. But still I'll go through quickly on these things. Or if you want, you can just skip this section and you can just jump out to direct implementation in the next section. I have provided the chapters in the descriptions. So this is basically a configuration file, which here we need to set up the things. Here is a localhost server. We need to specify 4 parameters to connect our database, to connect our APIs to the database. So first one is a variable is the localhost. So you don't need to think about this, or it will always be a localhost. Username, whatever username you have set. In my case, I have put the or default one as a root, and password, the empty password which was the default, so I have keep it as it is. So in the DB name, we need to specify a database name. In the browser itself, we have created this database, right? My database. So I have put this same name here, my database, and that's it. This code is for a connection. So this will connect. If there is any error, it will show, and if there is no error, it won't show anything. So after setting up all these things and putting the API files right here, how you can confirm your API is working correctly? So you can just go and here paste localhost slash, and you just need to type the folder name, login dash register slash. Here what the file is config.php. So I'll write config.php and I'll click on enter. So blank page is getting displayed. So as the page is blank, so it is showing that we are connected successfully to the database, because what we have written in the code, if there is a some problem in the connection, it will show connection error, otherwise it won't do anything. So as the config.php page is blank, so our code is correct and the your API is connected to the database. So let me show you the further file quickly. This is the further helper classes. So this is just a result class I have created. Whatever basically it is a response class. Whatever the response we'll get it from the API, we need to send from this API to our client mobile app. This class I have just created for the convenience. So this will consist of two things. First one is an error, that will be a boolean, and second one is a message. So server will respond for every request. Server will respond with this boolean value or some and some message. Either it will be an error or it will be a success. It will always contain this class. So this is about these helper classes, and where I have used this class in the, this is the main login file which we will be going to use. And in this file I need to import this both of this file, config.php and helper classes.php. I have imported all these files like just we import in our Java and our Kotlin code. This is just a similar type of import. And here I have created a response array. Here it will whatever the post request we will be sending, it will it will listen here to that post, whatever the post value we have passed here, and it will check if it is empty or not. If it is not empty, it will further do the work. It will first fetch if the user exists, and if the user exists, then it will verify the password. If the password is verified, then it will go and fetch all the user details. In our case, it will be a name, email, and authorization token, and it will respond us back with these three values. So the API call to this login to this login API, what if it is successful, then it will return us with these three values: name, email, and auth token. And this is just a uh, setting of the errors. If if there is no error, then it will set error status as a false, and it will set a message login successful. And otherwise, in case of any failure, it will set a error status as a true, and it will set some custom message. And finally, it is JSON encoding, so that we will be getting a JSON as a response from the server. This is about login. So let me again go to our remaining file. This is the register file. So this register file will also be importing these two files, and instead of the raw parameters email, and this, if you look at this login, it is checking for the email and password field. So instead of fields in the register API, we will be sending one object from our mobile app, and this object will be captured here in as a JSON string. We will be decoding the JSON, and we'll be working further on our logic to first check if the user exists with that same email address. If it exists, it will just show that you are already registered, please log in. And if it doesn't exist, then it will insert that user to our database, and we will be able to see that user here. New entry will be created with the whatever details you have entered here, and it will also again encode the JSON response and send to us. Now third file is about user details. So once we have logged in the dashboard file, in the dashboard screen, what we will be going, or dashboard, or we can say home screen. In the home screen, we will be fetching the users, like we are just showing a message, welcome dash username. So that username will come from this API. So it will again check for these post parameters if they are empty or not. If it is not empty, then it will further go and perform its logic. It will select a password, and it will again verify the password. And if it is an it will instead verify a token, not a password. We have saved, it will check if the token we have sent is equal to the saved token from the database, because we need to send two things here. First one is the email, and second one is a token. So if the all credentials to match, then it will respond us with the name. Whatever the values, or you can also increase the number of fields which we need to retrieve user details. Currently in our sample database, we are just retrieving the name, and it will show a retrieval successful as false, and will set error status as a false. And also it is here is a handling of the failed cases, and again it will encode the response in the JSON and will send to us. So this is about how we can host the APIs, and how we can set up the server side in our home environment. So that's about the server side. Now we'll be going to our interesting part, that is Android development. So I just open my project, and in the project, first things we need to do is adding a retrofit dependency. So we need to add a retrofit dependency. I will paste the dependencies in the description box itself. This is a new convention I came across after upgrading the Android Studio. Currently, I am also not very clear with this, but I will be pasting all the raw dependencies in the description box itself. So it is the same. And again, one thing we need to do, we are using a data binding in this, so we need to add this in our Gradle build.gradle data binding enable true. And also we need to add this id if it is not present by default, kotlin kapt, this kotlin plugin. And also we need to go to Android manifest, and as we are going to use the internet, so we need to add an internet permission. Also one thing I need to add here, so that is a this attribute, Android colon uses clear text traffic equal to true. So this simply means we are okay to deal with the request which comes from a HTTP servers and not HTTPS. So S stands for secure here. So by default, Android blocks the request which we are trying to connect to the HTTP server. So as we are using the local host, so all our requests will start from HTTP and it won't contain the S. So that's why we need to add this attribute. So in the production projects, we will be not be using the HTTP, we will be always using HTTPS, and we don't need this attribute. So this is just the security practice imposed by Android. So that basic things are done, and now let me explain what I have already done in the project. So this is just a main activity, nothing here, any code. I haven't pasted anything code here in the main active XML file also, nothing is there. I have just created 3 fragments here. So as we are creating a login and registration system, I have created 3 fragments here. First one is a home fragment. It doesn't have any other code, uh, just the data binding code is here. You might already have known the data binding, and this XML file also doesn't have any code. So the same for other 2 files as well. Register fragment doesn't have any code, and the home fragment is also an empty fragment. So first let's understand what we'll be going to build in my emulator. This screen we will be building for the login. Here we have space for email and password. So I'll paste an email. This is the account which I have already created, test@example.com. Password I have kept simply as 123456, and I click on this login. After logging in, we will get a message is login successful, and we will be showing welcome comma whatever the username that is. In this case it was a test as a username of this user, and we also have this logout button. After we click on this logout, we came to this login, and we'll also be maintaining a session. Let me log in again. This user has been logged in, and now I click on back button. The application has been exited, and if I click again on this application, we land directly to the home screen. So that thing we are going to implement with the help of shared preferences. And if we click on the logout, press back button, click again, then we will be going to the login screen. And for the register screen, let me register a new user, test new at example.com. Password I will be setting the same, and I click on this register button. So here we get registered successfully, please log in. Let us check in our database if the user has been created. So let me refresh this database, and let's check. Yes, this is the latest entry which I created, test new at example.com. This is the password which got encrypted, and this is the name, test new. So this is basically a database which we have. uh, this is the entry which is created in the database, and it doesn't have a token for now. So if we log in with the same user, test new at example.com 123456, and I click on login. If we refresh, now the token should be generated, and you can see here in front of this test new at example.com, the token with some random value has been generated. So this is a session token, and for every request we will be sending further, we will be comparing this token with what we have. This token will also be storing in our own uh, shared preferences. One more section I would like to add here, that is testing the APIs. You can skip this session if you don't want, but I recommend you to watch this section as well to know how you can test the APIs with the help of software called as Postman. So this is a very popular software we can use for API testing. So you can just download this software for free, and you can just test your APIs. So I have created this, I have downloaded this software, installed, and also set up this Postman. For that, you don't need to do anything, you need to do very few things. Here we can just create new collection, and I have created this collection as login, register, sample app. In this I have created 3 API requests: login, register, and user details. They all are of type post, so that's why I have choose a post here. There are a lot of options here, you can choose the relevant type. We will be choosing the post here, and here in the login I have put this URL, so that, and whatever the parameters we need to pass in as an email and password, I have put it here, and in these parameters will be sent to this PHP file, that is our API, and we'll get a response. So let me just click on this send, and we are getting a response here. So this is our response. This is user, these are user details. After logging in, we get this response, we get this result object, error is a false and message is a login successful. And here in the user object we get three fields: name, email and auth token. So this is the login API. In the register API, if I need to create a new user, so we need to send an object in this case. So for the object, we just need to click on this raw, and we need to create a custom JSON object, and this object will be passing to the API. And after we pass this object, I need to click on the send in order to send this request to the API. And as this user is already registered, so we got a message that you are already registered, please log in. So you can just verify and confirm if your API is working well or not with this Postman tool. Because if you are going to debug from directly Android, then it won't be a much convenient way, and you will just lose your time, a lot of time and efforts. So instead, this Postman is the best tool. So you can also troubleshoot the errors here. And in the user details API, if I just click on send, we get this response. So as the token is something changed, so we are getting this error as a true and invalid token. So we are not getting the data. If the token is not right, then the server won't accept the request. That's why we are getting this. And all this logic I have already written in the PHP files which I have discussed earlier. So this is what I needed to tell you about the API checking part. One more thing I would like to show you, that is how to get this IP address. So this is just the current http:// this IP address and then login dash register. So on the browser you can just type a IP address, just type a localhost and you can access this API. But in the Postman and from the Android, you may not be able to directly write the localhost and access the URL. So for that, how you need to get this IP address, and how to get this IP address, for that you just need to open your command prompt and just write ipconfig/all, and here you will be able to see your IPv4 address which is mentioned as preferred. So you just need to copy this address from here and paste it here in place of my whatever IP address is showing here. In place of, you need to replace this IP address with yours, and then you will be able to access this URL from your Postman. Now again, coming to the Android Studio, let's start coding now. So we'll be going to first design a login fragment. For that, I have converted this layout to the data binding, so that you will be seeing this layout. What I need to create in our application, let's check in our device. Where is my device? It's, yeah, it is here. We need to create this one text login. So we'll be using a one text view with width as a match parent, height as a wrap content. I'll give this an ID txt login, and we'll give is a text as a login, and I'll set is a size as a 30 sp, and we'll constant top to top of parent, and we'll assign gravity as the center horizontal, and let's put a margin top as a 30 dp. Yeah, so we'll be going to design this screen login. We need to create two text views, email and password, then login button, then register here. So let me create this quickly. So yes, our layout is complete. I have just created this one text view, one email, one edit text, second edit text for the password. In the password, make sure that you put an input type as a text password, so that whatever the characters we will be typing, it will be symbolized. It will not be shown. This is a button I have created, button login, and this is a text view. After clicking on this one, we will be redirected to the register screen. So this is done. Now let's code the register fragment register. Basically, fragment register we can just copy from here, because it will contain most of the things as same. We just need an extra thing in case of this. So let me modify this. And yes, we are complete with this screen as well. I have created one text view and a 3 edit text, name, email, and password. And here in the register button, and here login here. So on clicking on this one, will be redirect to the login screen. Now let's code home screen. Here we just need a simple one text view, which is let's make it as a match parent, wrap content, and size as a, let's say 30 sp, id text welcome, will be welcoming user here. And for the design purpose, I am just writing this text tools comma text, uh, welcome comma user. So we'll align this constant top to top of parent and margin top as a 30 sp. And I'll also create one button, gravity at the center horizontal. I'll create one button. Let me just copy it from here, and I'll paste that button here. Txt welcome. Logout button will be here, where on clicking this, user can log out. Let me change the id, button logout. Yeah, so we have coded all the screens. We have created the UI for all the 3 screens. Now it is time to build a backend logic, that is fragments. Before coding these fragments, first we need to set up the API. For that, we will be creating a single instance of the retrofit, and then we will be creating a separate interface where we will be writing all these APIs. So let's first create an interface where we will write the APIs. So I'll click on this package name, new Kotlin class file. We will write here API interface, and it will be an interface. In this interface, we will be writing all the APIs. So for, and all the APIs will start from a suspend function, because the API call is always a suspend function, because we never know how much time the API server will take to respond. So that's why we need to append this suspend keyword in order to stop the execution till we get the response. Suspend one, first API will be login user. So in the login user, uh, what we need, let's open the Postman first, because we have written everything there. In the login, it needs form data, that is email and password. So email and password, both things we need, that will be of string type. So this method will accept email and a password, and it will return a response. So response, make sure to get it from the retrofit 2. It will send us a response. So what the response will contains, So just click on hit, and what the response contains? Response contains actually two objects. First one is the result, and second one is a user object. So we need to create the two separate data classes in order to get this response. So what we'll do, we'll just copy all this response. We'll go to Android Studio. We just right click on this Kotlin plus Java new, and you can just download this plugin. I have this one plugin which comes handy to creating a data classes in Kotlin. This is Kotlin data class to file from JSON. You can just click on this, and you can just paste this response here, click on format, and you can just click on the class name. So what the class name should I give? uh, Global response. So this will be a basically global response, and I click on generate. So it will automatically generate data classes according to the provided JSON string. So it had created as expected three classes here. First one is a global response that contains two things, two objects. First one is user result, and second one is a user. So result will be of type result. So it has created a second data class that is user. It contains this error and a message. Same as that, this is a global class, global response. First one, and it contains two objects. First one is user, second one is a result. So this result contains two fields: error, which is a boolean, and message, which is a string. So it has created the same error as a boolean and message as a string. And it also contains the user. So user will contain three things: auth token, email, and name, all of a string type. Now you can see here in our Postman, name, email, and auth token, all of these are strings. So it has beautifully created these Kotlin classes according to our response we have provided. So this is a pretty much good work done by that plugin. So you can just download the plugin, and now we can here declare here as a global response. After we log in, we will be getting the global response. Now we need to use the annotations. As we are sending a post request, we need to annotate this with @post, and inside this post we need to specify a URL, basically an endpoint. So what is an endpoint? I'll again open a Postman. So endpoint is basically a string which changes with every request. There are two separations of the URLs in our Android Studio. Basically, we can say a retrofit. First one is a base URL, and second one is an endpoint. So whatever the string which remains constant can be concluded as a base URL, and whatever the string changes, that can be considered as a endpoint. So in our this login URL, this whole URL we have, but this this part which I have selected from the starting to this login dash register will remain same for all the requests. So that's why this will be a base URL for us, and this will be a login .php. This will be our endpoint. So we just need to copy this endpoint here and need to paste it here. Postman. We need to rub this backslash forward slash, and yeah, login.php will be here. This is a post request, as well as it is accepting these parameters. We need to annotate this with a query, because sorry, not query, because field parameters, field, because these are two fields, and in the brackets we need to mention what what will be name, in what name they will be sent to the server. Like, we need to send this as an email and password. So these keys are case sensitive. So we need to send we need to tell retrofit that these are the keys we need to send. These are the values we need to send, and we need to send it as an email and password. So I'll annotate this with an email, and for the password I'll annotate this with a password, WWRD. You can set any name to this variable, that doesn't matter, but you need to set a specific name which we need to accept which we are going to accept from the API file. Let me open the API file again to give you a better clarity. So this is the login API. So we'll be accepting the post request, and we'll be validating if these fields are there or not in the request. So how we'll be validating dollar underscore post. So this is the post request with the key as an email and password. So as this email and password are the keys we are receiving in our API of login, we need to send the same keys from our Android Studio as well. This email and this password. I hope you got now better idea. Now we also need to annotate one more with this URL form URL encoded. If you look at the Postman in the this user details, your details API, we are sending these keys, but we also need to select X triple W form URL encoded. So this is a URL encoded type of request we will be sending. That's why we need to use this annotation. If you hover on this respective fields, they will their documentation will explain everything. Like just I have hovered on this field, it is uh, it is also showing some examples, and it is also explaining everything what it does. So this is a post request, and this request is a form URL encoded, and these are the two fields, and these are the two keys. We had told basically retrofit everything. Now your retrofit is able to build the request which we have built from the Postman, and we'll send it to the server, that is to our API file. Now let us create a second request, that is we'll create user details request. So second request is a user details.php, and it also requires email and token as a input parameter. So let me just copy this login itself, and let me rename this user dash details, and let me change the name get user details, and it requires email and sorry token. And now what the response it will send, if I click on send here, it is saying as invalid token because this token is something that is different. So let me put the correct token, which was that user test at example.com. I just copy this token from here and we'll paste here, and now we'll send. So this also consists of actually two objects, but if the scenario that comes that the token is invalid, so only one object will be sent. So this register object will always be there, but this user object will not be always be there. So we need to make this user object as a nullable in the global response. So in the global response, I'll make this user object as a nullable, and yeah, we'll assign a by default null value to it. So if there is an error, user object will not be received and it will be null. So going back to our interface, we need a global response for this as well, because it also contains two objects. First one is user and second one is a result. Now let us create a third, that is third request, that is register user. So let me just paste this here. Here we don't need form URL encoded, because in the register we will be sending a JSON object to the API. So this is I have checked on this row, sorry raw. So we need to send a raw request to this. So this is basically a JSON object. We want the retrofit to build this object for us and send it. So for that we don't need this form URL encoded. Now we need annotation as a post. Yeah, that is right. This request a post. Let me change this to register. Sorry, to register user. First one is email, second one is a password. So what parameters it requires? It basically requires an user object which contains email, password, and name. So how we can now send the object? Let me show you. We need to send the user object. So this method will accept a user object. Now we have one annotation, that is body, in order to build and send a JSON object to the API. So this body parameter will do that thing. Now, and what the response will get? We'll get only this response. Always, we'll always get just the result. This result only we'll always get. So for this, we don't need this global response. We only need this result. Make sure to get the result which we have created from our package name. I think if I am able to get it, yes, now it's good. I need to write this import statement, import result. So this work. Yes, now our API calls are ready, and we are good to build a single retrofit interface. Instance. For that, we will be going to create retrofit instance that will be an object, because we need to create a singleton. So for that, what we need to do, we will be using lazy val API by lazy. So this lazy means whenever the request will come to here, it will then only get initialized. It will be lazily initialized basically. Inside this, we will build the retrofit request, retrofit dot builder dot base URL. Now here we need to specify a base URL. So just copy this base URL, which is a constant basically in our API URL. So this my base URL dot add converter factory. We need to add this converter factory in order to parse the JSON responses easily by the retrofit. We need to create JSON converter factory dot create, and here we need to finally build and dot create. Here we need to pass a interface service class, that is in our case that is API interface class dot java. So our request is ready. We can just initialize this singleton instance from anywhere in our project, and we'll be able to access all these APIs from this instance. Let's clear the inputs. Now we can close this retrofit interface, and now we finally can start working on our logic. In our login fragment, I'll first write the logic of a login. Let me create a method init view. So let's create this method. So what do we need to do in our login? User will come here, user will enter email and password, and we'll click on login. So after user clicks on login, we need to accept this whatever the values entered by the user in this email and password fields, and then execute our logic, that is execute the API call. So for that, we will need to first create binding dot button login dot set on click listener, and we'll create one email field, that is binding dot edit text email dot text dot toString. We'll duplicate this one, and password 80 password. Now we have email and password, and we have enough data in order to send the login request. So we cannot send the request directly. Instead, we need to use the coroutines. For this lifecycle scope.1, I am launching one coroutine with the lifecycle scope and with the dispatchers as IO, because this is an IO operation. And I'll just mention we'll first in a try catch block p colon exception val result equal to. Now how we can access this API with the help of this global instance which you have just created, retrofit instance dot api dot login user. This requires two things, email and password. So we have those. Just pass this email comma password. Yeah, now we'll get this response. So this result is of type global response. So we need to first check if result dot each successful is a function which we get from retrofit. So we can just check if it's successful, and if result dot body is not null. So if these are the things, then our response is successful. Otherwise, there is a failure case. In the failure case, we will be showing some toast with a context as an activity. Something went wrong. Yes. And if this is the case, if it is successful and result is body is not null, this basically result which we get, and this is the dot body function of the retrofit which returns us the actual body which we that is the response which you have get from the server. Now we'll check if result dot body, I need to assert it with not null because it is a nullable dot. Now we get two fields, result and user, because in the response is basically a global response of global response object, and global response object contains of these two objects, result and user. That's why we are getting a session, two sessions here, that is result and user. So we first need to check result dot error. So this error is a boolean which will tell us if the response is successful or not. So we'll check if the result is not error, and result dot uh, yeah, result dot body dot user. Again, this is not equal to null because this user is also nullable. If it is the case, then we can proceed further, and if it is not the case, then what we can do, we can just show a toast message, and in this case we can show the error message from the server. Result dot message. Instead, what we can do is we can directly mark it, because whether the whatever the message is, we need to show it. Either it is success or failure message, we need to show it. That's why I have bring out it from the if condition. And in this, we can just put a log. Let's declare as a log as a check API error. Yeah, that's it. And here we can just push a the same error, yeah, we can log this error. And here, if we everything is ready here, everything will be working, and we get a successful response, and the user has been logged in successfully. So after login, what we need to do, after login, we need to redirect user to the uh, home screen. And we also need to one thing, we need to create one flag so that it will show the user that the user is now logged in, and the next time user will open the app, he or she will be directly redirect to the home screen. So we'll be doing both of the things, but first for the navigation thing, we need to work. So this is a separate section I am going to start. So for this navigation, we need to create one. We will be using the jetpack navigation. So for to switch between fragments, because it is a quite easy. Now let me show you that. We need to create a new directory here, Android research directory, and we'll choose navigation from here, and I just click on OK. In this, after this directory is created, I right click on this one to add a new navigation resource file. I'll also mention it as a navigation, name it as a navigation, and just click on enter. And here, though it is XML file, but you are able to add this without writing a single XML code. You basically just need to create a routes from which screen to where we need to go to and from. We just need to create a screens, and we to connect them by the with the help of the arrows. I have created a separate tutorial to understand, to make you understand this concept. If you have not watched the tutorial, then I am providing the link in the description box itself. So please go there and watch this jetpack navigation component tutorial, because it is a very great concept, and I highly recommend you to watch that. So let me go here. I'll first get a home fragment. Home frag, not a home fragment. First, our home screen will be a login fragment. So after the login fragment, I am this register fragment, and third one is a home fragment. So after this login fragment, after the user login is successful, then I need to go to a home fragment. So I'll just make a link from login fragment to home fragment. And when I go there, I need to uh, cancel this login fragment, like pop it from the stack. For that, I need to do pop up to login fragment. At here, I'll set pop up to inclusive as a true. So what will happen after login, after user success login, he or she will be navigated to the home screen, and the login fragment will be removed, so that when the user clicks back from the home fragment, it will be, he or she will be directly sent out of the application and not again on the login fragment. So that's what we need. And as we are already here in the navigation, let's set up flow for all the things. So from the home fragment, in the logout case, we'll redirect user from the home fragment to the login fragment. So for that, we need to create a link from home fragment to login fragment. So I have created this link, and when doing that, I need to pop up all the fragment from this till this home fragment. So what I'll choose, pop up to home fragment 2, and pop up to inclusive as a right true. So this is the thing. And for the register fragment, so we have a link from a login fragment to register fragment. So I'll create a link here, and the same will be applied here. Now here, whenever we are switching from login fragment to register fragment and vice versa, we don't want user to keep switching between these two. When user clicks back button, either user clicks back button from the login fragment or this register fragment, we want user to exit the application once he clicks on back button. So that's why we need to set up some behavior to this pop-up to. We can just write on select navigation here, and pop-up to inclusive as a true, and we'll again do the same thing from register fragment to this login fragment, and we'll do the same thing as a true. Yeah, I think that's it from home fragment, this fragment. Yeah, that's it. This is about navigation. So I have closed this tab now. So in the and now in the main, let me open the main activity. Here all the fragments will be hosted in the nav host fragment, and we will be using the jetpack navigation in order to navigate between different fragments. For that, I'll just go to containers, and we'll choose the nav host fragment here. And here it is giving a suggestion of the navigation file which you have just created. You'll just click on this and just click on OK. So we got here fragment content review, it is showing. Now it is showing some error, and we want it to match parent, both width and height. So we don't need these tools attributes. That's good. That's good. Now we can just close this activity main, and we have come again the fragment login. So after we have created the navigation, how we can navigate actually? Just by this find nav controller dot navigate. Sorry, not navigate, the navigate. What happening? Navigate, yeah. R dot id dot. Now I need to get the id. So from where I need to go and to where I need to go? From login fragment to home fragment I need to go. So in the navigation file, I'll click a link, such a link which is going from login fragment to home fragment. So this is that link, and I'll just click on this id and copy it, and we'll paste it here. That's it. It will do all the work by itself of the navigating. After we have navigated, we have shown that we have navigated, but before navigation, what we need to do is create a shared preferences, and in the shared preferences store the email of the user, email and token. Whatever the session token has been generated, we need to store that in the shared preferences. For that, we will create a shared preference reference val prefs. And see, let me do that in a init view. Val prefs prefs equal to activity dot get shared preferences. So this activity is nullable get shared preferences. In here we need to specify mode. So I'll specify a default mode private. Let's click on alt enter and import that. Okay, so it requires two parameters. I got first parameter is a preference name, and second is a mode. So preference name, I'll name as my prefs prefs. My new prefs. Yeah. And here in the preferences, I'll create one editor prefs dot edit. So we can edit these shared preferences. That is okay. And here we'll use that editor dot put string. So first one is a key. The key can be email, and value. What is the value? Value whatever the user has put. So we can just put an email because that email is valid. So that's why we can just get. And here we need to add a token. So that token is basically we will get from the server. Result body dot result dot not result dot user dot auth token. Yes, so both of these values has been put in here. So I'll just write enter dot apply so that these changes will be applied. So we are storing these values in our shared preferences, and finally we are navigating user to the from our login fragment to our home fragment. So that's it. In case of exception, let me copy this, and yes, I think it's good. Now let us try running this application. Before that, in the home fragment, let make it as a text, Android colon text, so that we will be able to recognize that this is the home activity. So let's run our application and see if it is successful. So our application is running, and let me put the same email address, paste at example.com 12345 and I'll just click on login. Application crashed, something didn't work. Let me check what it is. Oh yeah, I forgot that we cannot run toast matches on a main thread. So we need to change the context wherever we are dealing with the front end things. So I need to, here I am showing the text toast message. So I need to change the context with context dispatchers dot main. As we are dealing this thing, we need to take care of changing the context. Yeah, in the context we are using a toast message and we are also navigating it, and everywhere we are showing a toast message, we need to wrap it with the bit context dispatchers dot main. That will prevent the exception, because this is a task which should be run on a main thread because it deals with the main thread. Let me just copy this and paste it here. Let me run again. Before that, let me uninstall the previous application so that the references should not interfere. Yeah, now running again. Test at example.com 1 2 3 4 5 6, and yes, our login is successful and we are now able to see the home fragment. So this user is static text for now. We will be making it dynamic in a couple of minutes. So our login is successful. Now let's turn towards registration, user registration. For this user registration, what we need to do, let me go to the register fragment. Let me close all other tabs. In the register fragment, we can reuse this code from the login fragment itself. So for the register fragment, I need to do almost same things. I need to take all the things which your user have entered in the name, email, and password, and then on clicking on this register button, I need to make an API call and send a request to register the user. For that, I can just here declare one method init view. Let me create this method, and basically let me copy this whole thing. Copy and paste it here. Yeah, button login instead of button register will be here, and email, password, name also will be there. Name, et name, name, email, and password. We need to change the request to register user. Here it requires a name, email, and password. No, it requires a user object. So we need to send a user object. Let's import that. And what user object needs? It requires first auth token, then email, then name. Auth token, email, and name. Yes. So for the auth token, we again we don't have auth token at the first time while registering a user. So what we can do is, let's make some modification in the user class. Let's make this auth token as a nullable, because that will not be present for the while user is getting registered himself. Email and name will be there, and also there will be a password, of course. I don't know how this didn't pass the password. Okay, let us create this password string. Yeah, name, email, and password. We will be passing the name, email, and password. Yeah, now we are sending the user object, and we will be getting a result as the result. So we can directly, we don't need this result dot message. We can directly ask, make this result. This is a toast. After successful, then this toast will be shown. And what we need to do after user registered successfully, After we register successfully, we just need to navigate to the login fragment with the toast message. We don't need to do anything for the regarding the shared preferences, so we don't need them here. And we don't need anything of this, and just directly rub this. So if the sorry, yeah, we need this. We don't need this result of error. We can directly access the error. If there is no error, then we can show toast message. We have already shown the toast message. And we don't need this else case. If there is no error, then we need to navigate user from the register screen to the login screen. So just click on this link, click on this ID, copy it, and paste it here. Oh, I have to create whole find new controller, right? Find new controller dot navigate dot data. Now paste it here. Action register fragment to login fragment. Yeah, that's good. And exhibit context. Yeah, everything is good, I guess. So let's try running our app and see what happens. Oh, wait. For that, before that, we first need to uh, make the navigation from the login screen to the register screen, because how will be navigating to the register screen? For that, open the login fragment. Besides this, we will assign a binding dot button, sorry, txt login, txt not login, txt register dot set on click listener. After clicks user clicks on this uh, on here register here, so we want the user to navigate to the register screen. So again, go to navigation from login to register. Let's copy this ID and again go to our login fragment. Again, right here, find new controller dot navigate r dot id dot this thing. Now just run our application and see. Application has run. Click on this register here button. We are navigated here. So let's see whatever entries we already have here. We have these entries. Let's create a test2 at example.com. Here we'll name it as test2, test2 at example.com. 1 2 3 4 5 6. Password will be same for everyone, and I'll click on register. It is showing something went wrong. Let us check what happened. uh, I need to print the message. Something about this message seems to be coming from API, not sure. Let me put it here. Register fragment. Let me put it here and here as well. Sorry. Result dot body dot. Okay, sorry. I need to e dot message. So let's run again to check what the error is. Dot to string. Let me check what's the error. Name is test 2 at example.com. 1 2 3 4 5 6. You must either set a text or a view. Okay, that means toast is somewhere null, so toast must be coming null here. Let me check this request. Register user. Okay, my mistake. I haven't changed the URL here, endpoint here. I need to change register.php because user request was going to this login. So that's why this was happening. So let me rerun the application and see. Click on register. Test2 at example.com. 1 2 3 4 5 6. Yeah, we got message successfully. Please log in. And let me check in the database also. Yes, we are create here. We can see new entry test2 at example.com with the name test2 and password encrypted. Yeah, now the registration process is successful. Now we only need to implement this get user details. Now let's move towards that. Now let's go to the home fragment home.xml. Let me minimize the emulator. Now welcome comma user. Let us make it is a design time tools and give it an id. Yeah, we have already given an id text welcome. And in the its home fragment we'll again create a method, same method here in it view. Basically what we want in the home fragment, we want to greet the user which have logged in with the welcome comma username. So for that we will make one API call, user details API call, and get the data from the API and then set it up in a text view. This simple thing we need to do. For that we can also again copy this thing from the register fragment. Yes, and paste it here. So this API will be get user details and it requires two parameters, email and token. So both of these parameter we need to fetch from the our shared preferences. For that let's copy the shared preferences logic from the login fragment. These two lines will be going to copy and in the home fragment we will be going to paste it at the top. And for that let's get val email equal to prefs dot get string. Prefs is in the label, so we need to semicolon this get string, that is email. So the best practice is to store the key as a string constants and then use them everywhere, but this is just for demo purpose. Default value will be null, and I'll duplicate this one for the token, and token is there. So we'll get both of these email and token from the preferences. So we'll use the same here, email comma token. What happened? Okay, we need to assert it as a not null. Now what will this API will return us? Let's hover on this result. This will return us the global response. So for that global response we need to add a result dot message here. We need to basically add a result here everywhere, result dot message, and yes, that's it. So after the user navigates to the home fragment, we will be first creating an API call, and after that API call is get successful, what we need to do, we don't need to navigate anywhere. Instead we only do need to do one thing, and we don't need to show this toast message as well. What we can do is we need to set a update a text view. So let's write binding dot text welcome dot text equals to welcome comma. So here we need the response from the API. Result dot body dot user dot name. User is nullable. Okay, so we need to, we will show welcome comma, and whatever the name comes from the API will append here in the that respective text view. So that thing is done. Now we also need to implement the logic for the logout. So coming out of this lifecycle scope, we'll again write binding dot button logout dot set on click listener, and once we click on this logout button, we want to clear all the preferences which we have stored, that is email and token, and we need to navigate user to the login screen. For that, we have an editor declared editor here, so we can use the same editor dot clear will clear all the preferences, and we also need to call editor dot apply. This also requires a save call. And now we need to navigate. Find nav controller dot navigate r dot id dot. Let's go to navigation file and find where we are currently home fragment. So the links which goes from home fragment to login fragment. So this is that link. I just copy this and paste it here. Yeah, that's it. Now let's run our application. So we have already created test2 as a user. We'll log in with the same user, test2 at example.com, and password is 123456. I click on login, and yes, we are getting login successful, and we are getting its name also, welcome comma test2. And after we click on logout, we are coming to login, and if we click on back, application directly gets exited. So it is working as expected. But one thing, let me show you, there is one error still. I logged in test2 at example.com 123456. I clicked on login here. Now I don't do logout, and I simply click back here. Application got exited. But if I click again on the application, okay, it's just because application is still running. So let me stop the application. And what we wanted, what are the application I have shown you at the starting of this video, was it was keeping the user logged in if the user don't click on logout explicitly. But I have now killed the application, and let me again click on this one. But it is again redirecting to the login screen. For that, we need to implement the logic to forward the user directly to the home screen. So we need to write that logic in the login fragment, because login fragment will be the first which gets loaded. And after these preferences, we'll check if prefs dot get string token. Once we log in, we have the token in our shared preferences, and once we log out, the token is cleared. So if we have the token, that means user is already logged in and he has not pressed logout yet. So prefs dot get string token, if user had this token, it is not equal to, sorry, dot equals we can also use, because default value will be a double quotes, nothing. Gets it does not equals this, that means user is already logged in. So we need to send user directly to the home fragment, right? Go to navigation, again copy this link, login fragment to home fragment. So copy this link, we'll copy, and in the login fragment we'll paste this link. So it will first check if the uh, shared preferences contain this token string, if it and it is it equal to empty. If it is present and if it is not empty, that means the user is already logged in and it will redirect user to the home fragment. So let's run our application now and see what happens. Let me first uninstall this application, so that we'll be starting everything from scratch. Uninstall this application and install this new one, modified version, and it is launching. And let's do everything from the start. We'll create a test3 user now. Test3 at example.com, filling with, yeah, 1 2 3 4 5 6. I click on login, invalid credentials, correct, and we'll create this user test3 at example.com, 1 2 3 4 5 6, and I click on register. User registered. Now I'll try to log in that user. 2 3 4 5 6. I click on login. Login is succeeded. Now I click on back button. I'll stop the app. I'll even kill the application from the recent tabs. There is no application open. Now I'll again open the application, and we are still able to see the home screen and not again the login screen, because of this condition which we have added. And once we click on logout, we are coming to the login, and if we click on back, our application got exited. So this is now a fully ready login registration system. I hope that is very clear to you now. I know this video was a bit longer, but my aim was to give you a full idea about how to handle the sessions, how to manage the things, and how to also make the navigation work out. So that's it for this video. I hope now you have a clear understanding about how to create login and registration system in your own Android application with the help of APIs and remote database. If you have some doubts, you can put your questions in the comment box below. I will try my best to answer those. Again, if you like this video, then please click on like, share with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so that you will be stay updated whenever a new video is published. We'll meet in the next tutorial with some another interesting topic. Till then, goodbye, happy coding.